Sorry about that. I'm out here in the boonies in Millen, Georgia, headed to Jenkins Correctional this morning to lock in with my brothers over there today. Serve our incarcerated brothers who deserve a second chance, right? I know a lot of people don't feel as our incarcerated family and deserves a second chance, but the reality of it is we all have had second and third and fourth and fifth chances, right? And by the grace of God, you know, some of us have not ended up in prison. I know some of y'all be speeding out here, breaking the law. Headed to Jenkins Correctional this morning. So if you can hear me, let me know you can hear me. My internet is a little shaky out here in the country. I got one bar. But just wanted to hop on here this morning and just talk a little bit about April, Second Chance Month. What is Second Chance Month? And the difference between prison ministry and reentry ministry and reintegration ministry, right? And a little bit about my mom's story. And I'll be sharing a lot about my mom this month. I'll be coming on here a lot this month, talking about my mother and sharing a little bit about her story, because I think it can put some things in perspective for our community and for others that are experiencing. Let me turn this AC down. And others that are experiencing, you know, a similar story as hers and a similar story as mine, right? And my mother, she, you know, I'll go into more depth later this month as Second Chance Month, you know, unravels. But what is Second Chance Month? So Second Chance Month was actually created by Prison Fellowship, which are very, very, very good friends of mine. Very amazing organization that do a lot of great work for prisoners and returning citizens and their families. But they started Second Chance Month in, I think, 2017, which is a month to bring awareness, you know, to the collateral consequences that happens when you're incarcerated and then try to come out of prison. Right? A lot of people think prison, you know, you pay your dues and, you know, you pay your debt to society, you come home and that's it. But that is not the case. That's not the case. We found that is not what happens. You actually have to spend the rest of your life paying that debt off. And it's very unfortunate. So they started Second Chance Month in 2017, and last year, Governor Brian Kemp actually made a proclamation declaring April as Second Chance Month, which is to bring awareness to returning citizens that they need a second chance, whether that's employment, whether that's with their families. You know, we need to give our brothers and sisters who are formerly incarcerated a second chance. Why does this mean so much to me? So my mother, without going into too much detail this morning, I'll go into more detail later on in the month. You know, she was a returning citizen. She experienced a lot of childhood trauma. So at a very, very, very young age, think about the worst thing a child could experience and multiply that by 100. And that is what my mother went through and experienced as a child. Out of that trauma, she suffered from an identity crisis. She suffered from, not knowing her worth, not knowing herself, and being demonized by her family and community, which resulted into crime, which resulted into her committing crimes and doing whatever she could to find value and worth. So fast forward her teenage years, she got arrested a few times. She moved to New York with her best friend, and I'll share more later in the month, but basically the thing that threw her over the edge was seeing her best friend get murdered with an ice pick right in front of her at 15 years old, which spiraled her down a path of drugs and prostitution and crime. So during her early adult years, she spent a lot of those years in prison. She spent a lot of those years in jail. She spent a lot of those years at Rikers Island, which is one of the hard. We went to Rikers Island a few years ago and did ministry in there, up in New York. But it's one of the worst facilities you can probably go to in our nation. There's a couple of really bad ones, but Rikers Island is definitely up there. And she spent a majority of her life in Rikers Island. When she returned home from prison, she really wanted to make a change. She wanted to get her kids back. She wanted to be a good mother. But unfortunately, she could not shake the trauma, because what happens is we put these traumatized men and women into prison and into jail, which actually furthers that trauma. It actually makes the trauma worse. Drugs are just as accessible in prison. And obviously the community in prison is very toxic. So we take these hurt, traumatized people and we put them in an environment that further traumatizes them. We put them back out into society and we say, okay, go be a upstanding citizen, right? Let me take my glasses off because the police are up here too. I don't want them to think I'm too cool for school. But we put them in these traumatizing experiences, and then we say, okay, go there and have fun and go be an upstanding citizen. That is where reentry comes into place, right? So with reentry, we have prison ministry, which are the work and the ministry that we do when we go inside the prisons. We have reentry, which is the work we do to get our men and women who are incarcerated, get them ready to transition back out into society. And then the missing piece that we've missed for so many years that we are just now starting to realize plays a huge part in this is reintegration, right? Which is what my mother was lacking. Was, okay, how do we reintegrate our families back into society? How do we give them the proper tools, the proper support? How do we give them these? What do we give them so they're able to function when they come out? Because it's not about just getting out. Because a lot of people get out, they live under a bridge. A lot of our brothers and sisters, they get out and they have no idea about the new technology, and what it takes to. Man, this small little town got a lot of police out here. What do they need? What do they need to come back into society? That is where integration comes in. That is where therapy comes in. That is where counseling comes in. That is where these wraparound services like housing, transportation, food, clothing. That's where all these things come into place. As our brothers and sisters come out, if they don't have the means to support themselves, if they don't have a proper support system, they recidivate, right? And my whole purpose is to empower our families so we can reduce recidivism rates, and we can give our families what they need to come back out. And so that's really what Second Chance, that's what the month of April, that is what this month is about, is to raise awareness around this topic. Churches and nonprofits, they love to do prison ministry, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. They love to go inside, do a good sermon, sing a good song, have a good moment, and leave it at that. But what we found over the years is that it takes a lot more than prison ministry. It takes reentry services. It takes reintegration services. And it takes giving our family members, our brothers and sisters, what they need to come back out and function. So, just wanted to start the month off right, man. Wanted to start April off right. Give a little insight on what this month is about, Second Chance Month. And, yeah, start the conversation. This conversation isn't really being had yet. It happens in these small circles, but no one is talking about it yet. So, if you want to know more about what Second Chance Month is, if you want to know how you can get involved with Second Chance Month, if you want to know how you can get involved with helping our family reintegrate back into society, definitely DM me, comment on this video, and we can chop it up further. But this is a very, very important topic to me. As a lot of you guys know, my mother actually you know, she was a returning citizen. She was doing great out here. I moved her down to Atlanta in 2018. I put her into a nice apartment. She had great food stamps. She had a great church community. She had a lot of those resources, but she was still not able to fully quite reintegrate back out here. She still kept a lot of that prison mentality, and she still was searching to find her identity. And if I would have known what I know now after the last 6 months, I've dedicated the last 5 months since she lost her life. I've dedicated the last 5 months to researching and finding out what I could have done differently to keep her here. And if I would have known 5 months ago what I know now, I honestly think she would still be here with us. Because as a lot of y'all know, she relapsed in November, and she lost her life. And what a lot of people don't know is that she lost her life to fentanyl. She got a boyfriend because she felt like she needed that companionship to fill that void. She started doing pills that were prescribed from her doctor, which was Xanax, because she had her foot or her leg was in pain, so her doctor gave her Xanax. Her Xanax prescription ran out. her boyfriend started giving her cocaine, and a bad batch with fentanyl in it caused her to lose her life. So what I do and what I'm doing and what I've dedicated the rest of my life to doing, because there's a lot of CJs out there, there's a lot of Darlenes out there that need this information, and I really strongly, with my whole heart, believe that this information and this work can help change lives and help save lives. So that is what we're doing. So I'm headed here. I just drove 3.5 hours to get down here to Jenkins. I'm about 20 minutes out to go to Jenkins, and so on the side, what I do, I'm also a certified life coach for guys inside. I'm also a certified life coach for guys that are coming out. So I'm about to go in here and speak life into these men. And these men that I'm speaking with, they have 90 days until they get out. They're part of a program called Go Further. And what we're about to do is sit down with a few of them one-on-one and make some plans, man. Make some plans, some life plans, some goals to set, to see what they need as they come out on their last 90 days inside. And then I'll also be with them on their first 90 days out to help walk them through the process and be there as a support. So, and if you're interested in being a life coach, definitely DM me, definitely comment in this video. The organization that I'm with, we certify life coaches all over the nation, because there's prisons all over the nation. There's roughly 10,000 men and women that are released from prison every single week. So every week we have 10,000 people coming home. That means every week we have 10,000 people coming into your community. And people, you know, the reality of it is prison and this problem affects all of our communities. A lot of people think that it only affects these low-income communities, the hood, right? But the reality of it is these, you know, our brothers and sisters that are returning home, they don't just go back to the hood or go into the city. They're actually going into all the communities. What I found is a lot of the crime rate is high in these cities. But, you know, I lived on Simpson Road in Bankhead for 5 years with my wife and my family. One of the most dangerous neighborhoods in our city. And what I found was a lot of those guys, they're doing a lot of crime locally, but they're actually going into these, you know, into these white neighborhoods, you know, in Metro Atlanta. They're going out there to do a lot of their crime. You know, that's where the money's at. That's where they're kicking in the doors. That's where they're carjacking. You know, they want the nice cars, right? So, so keeping that in mind, you know, this epidemic does not just affect these poverty-stricken communities and these marginalized communities. They affect all of our communities. They affect all of us as a society. And the reality of it is, prisons don't rehabilitate. And let me rephrase that. A lot of prisons these days, they're starting to understand. I work with an amazing organization called Core Civic. They're the largest privately owned prison system organization in our nation. Been working with them for the last 4 years. They do great work in our prison system. They have programs. They've helped open up doors for some of my programs. I build recording studios in a lot of these prisons with a curriculum that teaches them how to learn Pro Tools and they get certified in Pro Tools, so when they get out they have a certification for the music industry and for radio and film. So Core Civic has done a very amazing job providing these new programs. So it's a new day and age, man. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air to know that you know, people are starting to care about our incarcerated brothers and sisters and our brothers returning home. So if you want to know more about what we're doing, what I'm doing, what Core Civic's doing, what Prison Fellowship is doing, what all of our partners are doing, definitely reach out to me. It's going to take all of us to do this work, man. You know, this isn't a one-man show. This has to be a collective impact out here. So, if you have any questions at all about getting into prison ministry, reentry ministry, or reintegration ministry, definitely let me know. And we'll lock you in, man. We'll lock you in. Because like I said, there's a lot of Darlenes out there. A lot of people are losing their life every day because they don't have the proper resources, the proper support system to reintegrate back into our communities. So, I love everyone that's watching this video, that's taking time to watch this. I appreciate you. And if you want to learn more, just reach out. Pray for me today as I go into Jenkins. Prisons are sometimes a little intimidating. This is actually my first time in Jenkins. I go to Wheeler a lot, Coffee, Walker. This is actually my first time at Jenkins with a new group of guys. So never know what to expect, you know, going into the new ones, man. It takes a lot to build trust with the men in there. But I know through my story, through my heart, and through what the Lord has put on my heart to accomplish, I know that, you know, it's going to be an amazing day. Very fruitful day. So keep me in your prayers as I go in today. And I love you guys so much. Thank you.